started now, but he's not on yet. We haven't really started, so. But just for your information, in case you wish to watch the mouth. Watch that mouth, girl. Do we have watch that mouth, girl. Okay. Okie dokie then. Let's try and find Nigel. Let us search for the Nigel. Yeah, that's the wrong spot, Nigel. You're supposed to be on this side. You're part of the show today. Remember, you're not just audience. Okay, let's see. Let us see. Fedbook is kind of slow right now. A little bit. Okay. Right. So I'm trying a live for the first half, which have not done yet. This is kind of an experimental thing. So if people don't like it, then we maybe won't do it again. And if people do like it, maybe we will do it again. And if people don't like it, maybe we don't give a shit and we'll do it anyway. So we shall see. Nigel is here. What?
Sorry, I was dodging in between, because I listen.
Yeah, you're like, that's like, it's like masturbation, I think. Slightly.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, although it to me it's enlightenment because I'm listening to other people's perceptions of this psyop that is a continuation. I mean, so when I listen to Emily, or when I listen to Candace, or I listen to last week the lady you had on last week,
Penny.
It's like Penny. Yeah, I'm like it. I suppose there's an element of getting reinforced. Some sort of a reinforced idea of what I've already perceived. So, in a way, it is like masturbation. You're right. It's like, oh yeah, I see that. Oh yeah, I see that. I mean, this is why. I mean, as much as I like.
I was actually, Nigel, I was more talking about you like being in the chat of the of the live before you came to this side.
Oh yeah. I get your point. It's just there's this also this backslapping thing that we have. It's like, oh, well done, and we need that positive reinforcement, and that's what tribe is. That's when you grow from being like marginalized lunatics on the outside, which is why some of the best joking memes I've seen recently are, I need new conspiracy theories because all my other ones came true. It's like, so we do have to keep digging, and that's what I like about your show is you're a constant gardener. That's what we have to be, constant gardeners, because every false flag, inflatable, whatever we see on the other screen and all that stuff, you got to know that that's just a repetition of their program that you're watching, but at the same time, you've got to run your own program or deprogram yourself so as you can reprogram yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
I know, but there are ways of juggling it. And I'm doing it by exploring every part of it that I can. And yet, you know, somebody else I've talked to recently who I thought was, you know, wearing a mask to the store and I got talking to them and I just opened up a little bit because they were being nice and kind to me. They went, "Oh yeah, I mean, I know all that." So it's like I'm more vociferous about what I discover, but there are a lot of people that are just quietly going along with their lives, keeping their head down. And maybe it's because they don't want to draw a target on themselves. And who does? You know, if it is a war game, who wants to put a target on yourself? I mean, I don't want to put a target on myself. And if I was going to put a target on myself, it wouldn't be where they want me to put it.
Well, pretty sure we all have targets by now. If you haven't been taken, then your presence is known.
You've been attacked. I mean, you've been attacked. I've been attacked. I know we have. But the point being is, we're still going to say, "Okay, laugh at you. I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to stand aside. I'm going to expose the things that I find, and just be a constant gardener." You know, you have to a constant update. Like paying those. You know, I know you're a chess buff, so it's like playing those multi-level chess games. You know,
3D chess game.
Yeah, I mean, but like, you know, on so many different levels, it's like you think you know you're 4 or 5 moves ahead. You know, you've got, you know, I don't know, Bobby Fischer, you know, Bobby Fischer mind, you know, and it's like you think you're 4 or 5 steps ahead of your opponent, and then you realize that you've missed the whole level. So I have to keep going level to find out. But there are some people that it comes naturally to. It doesn't come naturally to me. It's like I get messages, but I ignore them sometimes. I do get messages though. I mean, I put them in my music. That's how I deal with my.
Speaking of music,
input.
I'm gonna play your.
The new remix.
That's your latest, right? Is that it?
Well, yeah, but I haven't released it yet. I'm going to release it probably beginning of September. Oh, I know. I could release it September 11th.
Are you okay with me playing it?
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, I sent the video because I've just been working on the video. So, I mean, I know you can't. I don't know. I mean, if it's on YouTube, you may get it silenced or muted, you know, because they've got those stupid crawlers.
Unless you have it.
But it hasn't been released, so...
If you haven't released it, there shouldn't be an issue. And this will also be a nice test to see if they're just randomly scrubbing anything. Yeah,
it would be a good test, actually, because it's unreleased.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a good idea. Haha.
Maybe we can get a...
You're thinking again, aren't you? I can tell.
It does not require effort. All this stuff happens. I just have to try to tone it down usually, because... There's always all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah.
This is Love Wins by Nigel. You had Andrea dancing when I first played it, so I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
All amongst the roses, a legacy to stand on. I ain't got nothing left that I can put my hand on. A thorn amongst the roses, a rose to shed that crown. Thorns are in my headspace, there's blood upon my gown. I'm giving in, I'm giving out. You must be deaf.
I got a triangle in there, must be Illuminati.
I'm giving up, I'm giving way. Nothing left to do but pray. Thorn amongst the roses, a legacy to stand on. I ain't got nothing left that I can put my hand on. I'm giving in, I'm giving out. You must another session. One English, don't you know? One English, don't you know? I'm giving in. I'm giving out. You must be deaf. I've got to shout. I'm giving up. I'm giving away. I'm giving in. I'm giving out. You must be deaf. I've got to shout. I'm giving up. I'm giving way. I've nothing left to do but pray. Thunder in me at space. Thunder in me at space. I'm giving out. Thunder in me at space. I gotta shout. Thunder in me at space. I'm giving way. Thunder in me at space. To do but pray. Thunder in me at space. Thunder in me at space. Thunder in me at space.
There's the mothership. It's coming to get us.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, you're watching the video, so you're getting the messages that go along with the video. The song is called Thorns, and this is the Love Wins mix. And the reason it's called the Love Wins mix is because I'm taking a lot of imagery and intimated through the messaging and the dancing, the danceability of the song, that ultimately love wins. And it doesn't matter where we go, what side we're on, how much we're taking in, how much we're taking out, all the stuff that we're doing, the studying, the 5D chess, all of this stuff, we have to know. Like, of all the things we don't know, and there's many of them, the no-no is to understand that love wins. And so that's why I did this mix, or got this mix done by a friend of mine in England, because this was a song on an album from 4 years ago that I sent to him thinking, oh, well, you know, maybe he'll do a remix. And it came back and I was like, wow, you know, it was so good.
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and, you know, if I wasn't doing something I loved, then I'd have to be checking my pulse right now. Because I've been telling people to do what they love for as long as I can remember. And if I wasn't doing it, then I'd be as much a hypocrite as some of the wonderful leaders we have in this world that are leading us down alleyways to try and eradicate us in their own way. You know, I mean, if they're not going to silence us, they're going to completely silence us. You know, and that's not going to happen because love wins. The darkness is around us, but it's like, no, our job is to shine a light into the darkness. That's it. That's our job.
Yeah, it's
Okay, end of interview. That's it. I'm going.
No,
Yeah,
it's interesting thing to consider. I tend to go with Alan's breakdown as far as dark versus light, and he always said you need a little bit of
You got to have both. You got to have
you need
both.
a little bit of darkness, otherwise it's boring, right?
Absolutely.
The dark can't overpower the good side. Otherwise,
Right.
you're just living in a satanic hell realm, which we may well be, but overall,
We may well be.
generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to Alan Watts, read the books, and I haven't finished it yet, but I've just got his autobiography, which I think it's called In My Own Way. I'm not sure.
That's
Yeah, it's In My Own Way. It's Alan Watts. It's his autobiography. I don't read biographies, but usually because they're another person's perception of the person, you know. So it's like even if they're ghost writing for somebody who's not eloquent, it still isn't an autobiography. So I like autobiographies, but this is an autobiography. So Alan Watts, and it's called And this is the funny part of it. This is the best part, the title. In my own way. In my own way and in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he knew and he knew. But, you know, the reason I called our last album A Few Our Souls is similar. A few our souls. It's a play on words, but it's also the dichotomy. You know, we have to have some excitement in our lives that is challenging. And if without a challenge, then we are the robots. We are the meat suits. You know, we're just blobs. So the challenge is right now ramped up to the point where the dark is trying to envelop the light, and our job is to just, you know, make sure that this time they leave no remnants. You know, I mean, try really hard to make this a better transition by putting the darkness where it needs to be, instead of it being dominant in society. Which, you know, I mean, you can look at the written history, you can look at the pre-written history, you can go deep into the history of the history. But the only way I've ever really truly believed historical documents is when it's first-hand, much like an autobiography. I read all the letters from Germans and English and Australian and New Zealand. You know, the First World War letters. There's a book that it's mostly compiled of letters from the front, and it's both German, you know, both, yeah, the German army and the British army, but, you know, all their, so it's letters back from the front, and so, back from the front, oh, everything's upside down, back to front. See, I can't help it, the words, it spelling, you know, it just, be strong, be wrong. You know, I just get this messaging, you know, whatever. So, what hasn't been a sign, that was something I don't know, I think I must have been texting you. What hasn't been a psyop? What isn't a psyop these days? What is not a psyop?
Not much on the big screens.
No, but your intuition is not a psyop. Your intuition that there is a psyop is real, but what they're feeding us, and probably even parts of this, because I'm just a big mouth, right? So even parts of this are still a psychological operation. Psychological operation is how we interact. We use words that are spelling, which is, you know, a spell that we're casting.
Right.
You know, so we're part of a psyop. The thing is, we come from an intention of kindness. We come from an intention of making a better world, not a worse one. So our true intention is to advance humankind. And we've added the kind bit, but, you know, it's humankind. Because with kindness, things can grow. And with cruelty, well, we're watching it collapse. So it's kindness, you know, we have to be humankind. I mean, it's, you know, I've been writing about this for way too long in my lyrics, and you know, it's probably why I'm shadow banned, and, well, you know, but who cares? I'm just doing it for me.
It's really, it goes back, I think, to feelings and intuition outside of, again, the words that are describing those things. Because every single word can be co-opted. All words can be co-opted. The word kind, the word compassion, the word love, the word heart, the word empathy, okay? Every single one of those words can be weaponized, and a lot of them are in certain situations. So if you go into a situation and you have written it down somewhere that says, I'm going to be kind, and I'm going to treat this group of individuals with compassion and empathy, okay? But internally you're not holding that feeling state, then you are then at war. You have weaponized the words, and you are parasiting somehow energy from those people. So the words in and of themselves mean nothing. It's absolute garbage. It doesn't mean anything at all. means
Yeah.
nothing. Every
I'm with you
every
on
word
that.
can be-
It's
every word can be co-opted.
it's intention. It's the intention.
Because psyop, in the way that you just described it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's having a conversation. That's not weaponized. When you say, "Oh, we're doing a psychological operation because we're using our minds, which is psychological," and operation is simply a step-by-step methodology of something, it's just not negatively bent. Right?
It's not negatively charged or negatively bent because I've known you for a while, Gary, and there are a handful of people in this world that I can open up to, and that's because I fully intend to do it out of love and peace and kindness. That's why I would want to contribute to the psychological warfare, but I can only contribute in small parts because I'm easily manipulated. I'm very easily manipulated by very clever people who will fish. You know, in the modern vernacular, the people who are fishing. I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. Woohoo! 4,500 of them want to see me dead. So it's like, I know, because as soon as I open up a little bit, I'm boom, 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 boom. And yet I post a piece of music that's about enlightenment, about love, about peace, about trying to push forward. Love wins. Deaf ears. But if I say, your doesn't work, or something like, boom, thousands of people are reading mine. So the shock and awe tactics that were used in a war recently are continued, but they're continued through the robots that are following the shock and awe of hyperbole. It's the hyperbole that they're believing. They're not believing the truth because they haven't looked within. They've looked without. Life is a journey. Alan Watts was right, as far as I'm concerned. Joseph Campbell, Carl Jung. These are all people that said the hero's journey. Now, that's not going around on social media saying, haha, you're an idiot, you've done this, you've done that. No. It's a journey within, You should do this. It's like, well, that's manipulation. Mm-hmm. This is why when I wrote a little while ago, and I don't know if it's true, but I said I was trying to write a piece called The Inevitable Bifurcation. And I don't think it's inevitable because I don't think anything's inevitable. So I've had to stop myself because the wording is incorrect. Mm-hmm. But there is a split in society, though there are many. But the clear one that I'm getting is those that want to control themselves and their own lives and their own way of being, and those that want to control others. Mm-hmm. And I fall heavily in that I want my freedom, I want my control over myself. I'm self-reliant, self-regulating, self-fulfilling, and I don't want to force anybody else to do anything. Now I can influence, but I can't tell. Some of my friends who are going in the opposite direction to me are saying, you've got to come with us. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have to come with you. That's a whole different stance from, this is who I am, and it's up to you what you do. And you have to be aware of why you're doing it. And I'm doing it from a good heart. But you're just saying, I don't care how many mistakes I'm making and how bad this is going to get. You've got to come with me. And I'm like, no, I don't. It's like saying jump in my car. What the one the one with the exhaust hanging off and the smashed windscreen and the wheels that don't go round. No, you know what? I'll walk, thanks.
Right, right. It's really interesting how it eventually boils down and pulls those of us who aren't interested in declaring a stance on, say, the pokey issue.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, so attention-seeking and so wishing to be all-pervasive that if it notices there are living beings that are just like, no, I don't, anything that you're doing, any propaganda, anything, it's just, I'm not interested. Like, I understand you're making a circus for certain people, but I'm not interested, right? Like,
right.
Keep away. It sees that, and it doesn't like that, even if we're not saying, like, necessarily, the whole thing is a hoax, even though some of us are saying that. Even if we're not saying it directly, this entity, this force that wants to control everything, sees that there are a few people who don't give a fuck, aka us, and it's like, no, you're gonna be a part of this, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? See, I think that some of the people I talk to on a moderately regular basis, they found a savior in a politician, of all people. But they found a savior, and once that savior went away, then their heads dropped, and I was like, then obviously that wasn't your savior. If you see what I mean, it's like, yes, we are all aware of the greater good, the consciousness, call it God, call it what you want. But if you're going to put your faith in another human being as your savior, then you're in a position where that human being can be manipulated as well as you can, so they can be manipulated too because they're human. And so, when you look very deeply at it, it's like it's a flawed cause, because they're telling you, they might be saying things that you agree with, but that doesn't mean you have to join their army. That's, right. This is how they recruit. And then once recruited, and that leader goes, oh, I'm at war with the new leader. And it's like, wait a minute, you weren't at war before. You were at peace. What's that? Trigger, So triggered people are losing all their moral senses. They've lost their moral compass because they put faith in something that is another human that can't really possibly lead them out of darkness. It can't possibly happen.
No, it's like a Band-Aid.
So it's the inner journey. It's all about within, and sticking to your guns. Horrible expression, but sticking to your guns. Just if you believe in peace and love and kindness, and just be it. Be it, and just go, okay, I wish you hadn't done that, but, now you have. I feel empathy for the hardship you're bringing upon yourself, but that sounds arrogant, so you have to really temper your interactions. I mean, I'm really too big-mouthed to temper my interactions, but at the same time, I've been attacked so many times in my life that I kind of learned now how to laugh at them. To laugh, not at them, but just to laugh about it. It's like, you know what? If you want to make of me a punch bag, that's fine. It's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your knuckles. I'm sorry, but it is. I mean, that's the only way for a pacifist to survive this. It's just like, okay, you want to find me. If I'm your target for all of your ire, it's up to you. Do you know why they called Ireland? I've no idea. There's many things that are people. The
land of rage.
Ire. It's like to us, when you're irate, you ire. It's like so. That's a nation that is suffered so much, but has come through shining light. And why is that? Is it because they have held on to their ancient historic belief systems? it's possible. I'm talking to a lot of people in Ireland at the moment, and a lot of people in Australia, and they're all being attacked like crazy right now. And so
I'm all for peace, but I'm not a pacifist if someone comes banging on my door.
No, I'm not a pacifist in that sense. Yeah. See, I go to sleep knowing that I'm really, really dedicated to not doing harm in a Hippocratic, oath kind of way. First, do no harm. But I sleep with my sword hand free. Yeah. I sleep with my sword hand free. I'm not. There's no way that I'm going to. There's some beautiful things. I think it was again. I love history and art. So Blake. I shall not sleep from mental fights, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem. I mean, Jerusalem, misinterpretation, but really, it's like. You can have a battle without doing damage to the good, and you can have that battle. That's fine. But you have to be aware of what armor you're wearing and whose armor you're wearing and what sword you're wielding. I mean, it's all there in Star Wars or any of the other, good versus evil. Allegorical stories.
It's also, if you read the stories, and they're good stories, and you have a fairly clearly defined good side and bad side, okay? That's usually fairly clearly defined. Not always. Yeah. But in every single story, there is somebody who's talking with the other side, and, a little bit of back and forth is going on, and then all of a sudden the lines are not clear anymore, and you don't know if you're the warrior, if you're fighting for the good guy, or if you're fighting for the bad guy. And that's how it always comes down. It's not ever... you can know the feeling, like I have this feeling of purity, you can know that feeling for certain, but you don't know necessarily if the guy across the way who's pledging that he's your teammate, you don't know if he actually is your teammate. And then if you help him, and then he ends up backstabbing somebody else, then you are, by virtue of association, helping the enemy. So you never know if you're actually fully being 100% truth, fighting for truth or fighting for positivity or peace. You never know if that's actually happening. You know that you aim and strive for that, for the feeling, but you don't ever know for 100% sure.
It's the feeling. I mean, it really is the feeling. I mean, it's intuitive. Again, we're back to that thing. I mean, we've been. One of the biggest lies that we've been told is when we're convinced that it's human nature, fight or flight, and it's like, wait a minute, if the only option is fight or flight, there's got to be, between the poles of those two options are a myriad of choices. I mean, multiverse, multi-dimensional, there's a myriad, there's a plethora, I love that word, plethora, of choices between fight and flight. Mm-hmm. You can be very, very clever and not actually get into the physical fight, and you can be very, very clever and not escape the reality that you're in. So there's a myriad of choices, and right. the best thing is and we'll go back to Zen, the middle way, where you intuitively choose the middle path between these two factions, and then you help blur the lines between the good and bad, so the bad doesn't get in. The bad is blurring the lines, so clearly blurring the lines with their fakery at the moment that it's laughable. But we have to do it through kindness, through love, through peace, so we have to blur the lines of that darkness creeping in and the light, righting itself. It's almost like, which way are we going to go? Port or starboard? Port or starboard? Well, we're not. We're going to stay on the sea. So we're going to do this, and it's fine. But once we start, going leeward. Oh my God! You know, it's like we have to right the boat, and if we right the boat, we can stay in the flow. And it's, you know, horrible allegories. I'm crap at that. But somebody who was Alan Watts. He was brilliant at it, talking about the flow, talking about the stones in the flow, and, you know, clinging to the bank or not clinging to the bank. You know, clinging to the wrong bank. No, it is a Zen powerful thing. But again, it's trust. Like you've said, in this flow, you're with millions of others in this flow, and you turn to your neighbour and you go, "Oh, look, he's holding out his hand to help me," and then he pushes your head under. Mm-hmm. So you have to be intuitively aware whose intentions are good, and like I said, it's a handful of people for me, because my human frailty is women. I'll quite freely admit that I am very attracted to beautiful women who throw themselves at me. I am. I'm very attracted to that. And they come to me and they go, "Oh, you're so peaceful and you're so kind and you're so loving and you talk about love all the time and it's so brilliant." And then they get inside of me and then they go manipulate. And before very long, they're trying to they are sending pictures of me naked around friends on the internet. And I'm like, that's the worst you've got? Really? That's it? That's your weapon? Well, you want to see me naked? I'm not bothered. So it's really hard, because there are many people who are outright narcissists in this world. I'm not saying she was or they were, but well, yeah, because I'm attracted to powerful women. And who are the most powerful people in the world right now? Sociopaths and narcissists. So when a sociopathic tendency or a narcissistic tendency woman stands in her own right, I'm like, "Ooh, look at her, she's up for it." It's like, and I'm fooling myself that I can play with that. Well, I can't play with that. That's dark, because I know I'm going to be manipulated. But, you know, I'm a human being. I've got the irreducible rascality that Alan Watts talked about. I think below the waist sometimes. I mean, I'm a man. Look at that, 65-year-old. Look at the guns on that one. Yeah.
You do pull-ups or you do chin-ups?
I'm weak as a fucking kid. It just looks good.
I see some biceps. They're hiding under.
Yeah, but well, look, this is a good one I used to do to my kids. Look at that.
Yeah, right.
Look at that. Oops! Whoa! Look at that. That's all learnt comedic response to human frailty. You know, when one gets challenged, one has a way of rising to that challenge. Mine was always a comedy. I mean, even as a child, you know, I could make my parents laugh when they were fighting. You know, I had a entertainer's head. I could entertain them. You know, I'd do impressions of Elvis Presley or something when I was like 4 years old, and they'd all go, "Oh, look at him!" You know, it's like or the Beatles or whatever. You know,
distract from the punishment that's supposed to be
absolutely. And so when challenged, I can turn the humour on, but I can also turn on the crazy. And that's how I've survived in Los Angeles for 30 years, even though I'm surrounded by Crowleyites and devil-worshipping lunatics who think that that's the right way, that's the right path. I've been surrounded by those. I mean, you know, I had a friend come up and visit me recently, and we were, you know, doors away from portals or doors or whatever. We're inches away from the horrendous group called Scientology, which was the founder, L. Ron Hubbard, and, you know, I'll get attacked for this for sure, but the founder, L. Ron Hubbard, met with Aleister Crowley, and Aleister Crowley, outspoken Satanist. And so the fact that the business I went into the entertainment business, but 30 years in the film business too. The fact that it's peppered with these Satan worshippers it's the easy access. Sell your soul. I mean, it's the easy access. Give up your right to your own free will, and we'll give you millions and millions of dollars and adoring fans.
Lowest hanging carrot.
I mean, so yes.
Battlefield Earth was actually pretty good. I read at least half of it.
Yes, and the movie was kind of. I mean, there was some pretty funny CGI moments. Computer generated imagery, but of course, John Travolta took the role.
I didn't watch the movie. A
devotee of Hubbard. I mean, these are people that all worship Satan, but they don't even know what that means. They're not even really. I mean, oh no, we don't believe in that. We believe we're reincarnated aliens that are come here to save the human race. In fact, they're trying to play the role of the elders in Zion, of we are the chosen ones. That's why Scientology has gone boom, because they're being told eventually, the hierarchy that works through it, but the very, very well-paid ones, they're being told that they're the ones, they're the saviors. Mm. So it's like, it's like when you're worshipped and you get rewards for being worshipped, it's like, wow, what fragile ego is that? Because it could. I mean, when you think about it, it's such psychological play. And then if they say, well, yeah, but we have to go through these sort of rituals, and you have to. It's a secret society that's not. They're not secret. They're no secret societies. If it was a secret society, then how do we know about it? Because it's not a secret, is it? So the point being is, they're willing to join and be in the, dark end of things because there's a temptation. I think Oscar Wilde put it best: I can resist everything except temptation. It's like the human. That's why when I think Alan Watts did a thing where he's talking about, how birth, school, work, life, death. Mm-hmm. It's here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with me and my recent female encounter, which was it's hilarious. I mean, I was like, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Oh, don't do that. You see, I'm clever in that. Wait a minute. Oh my God. Because I have a human being. I'm in a meet. I'm having a human experience. I'm having a human experience, and some of that needs intimacy, and they've taken away all the intimacy they can right now. Isolation is not just what they're saying. Oh, self-isolate, stay at home, don't stay 6 feet from each other. No. They're putting a program of I don't trust anybody, I don't trust anybody, I don't trust anybody. They're doing it that way as well. I mean, this is a big old operation right now, and that psychological operation is to try and get us to be self-reliant, or pretend self-reliant. In other words, I don't need anybody else, which is bullshit. We all need each other, and we are all one. We're just being manipulated, and love wins. In the end, it's a good old movie. It's going on and on and on and on, and they're using background actors and inflatable props and all sorts of tricks. They've gone deep into their bag of tricks at the moment, and they're going, ooh, illusion. But the point is, it's a long-ass movie, and we've got to know that when the curtain comes down, love wins. And so that's what we got to know. And if we know that, then intuitively we should be able to stay away from the demons and keep ourselves in the light. And then by doing that, shine the light back on the demons, so as we can put the balance back. Balance. I talked about this. I talked to you couple of years ago, didn't I? And we were talking about balance. I think in a group thing, I don't know what it was. Maybe the snail show, or maybe it was another show.
Maybe.
But we talked about balance. It's like,
Was it Guys Unisolating?
It might have been the nice lady, actually. Yes, the lovely lady.
No. Guys Unisolating. Remember that series I did a long time ago?
Yeah.
Other guys on there as well?
Right.
Maybe it was that. I don't do too many group things, but...
I know. And one of the people in the group was
Do you remember who was in there? Any of them?
Yeah. I mean, one I was going to physically go and visit, and you said...
Yeah. That was probably Guys Unisolating.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think I said, oh, look, it's all about the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. You've got to have balance. Mm-hmm. And then this person said to me, actually, it was another group in England. I remember who it was now. And he said, yeah, but we have the opposable thumb, Mitch. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, unless you're transmitting and receiving, how can you possibly keep those in balance? Are you that powerful as a human being? Or are you transmitting and receiving the information to keep this physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional? And this is the thing they play on the most, is the emotional and the mental. But those are if you can't keep those in balance, it's because you're not transmitting goodness and receiving it. Mm-hmm. So, that works like an antenna. I think I read, it's just a physical representation,
yeah.
but it's the chakras, it's whatever you want to call it. But the point being for me is, once I realized that, I opened up, and then I had the blessing of meeting somebody who's going to be a future guest on your show. And
wait, do I know this person?
What?
Do I know this person?
Next week.
Next week?
Yeah. Your next show.
Is it Becky? I don't even remember who's up next.
Yes.
Okay.
I had the great fortune of bumping into.
No, Becky's not next. It's another Rebecca, though.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's Rebecca, then there's Shane, then there's Becky. Becky's like 3 weeks out.
Okay. But anyway, she helped unplug me from my childhood trauma, and then she cut cords to help me understand my purpose, I suppose, in a way. But it's not that I didn't have one before, but it's like it focused my purpose as a messenger. And all the things that I've said and done ever since have given me tremendous peace, tremendous love, and tremendous pleasure. So I do know that I am free to choose. And I think the question I keep getting into arguments with people about whether to do what they tell you to, Jabberwocky or not, is I'm not. It's up to you. It's your freedom of choice. It's up to you. Mm-hmm. But remember, that means it's up to me. That's freedom. That's free will. We have free will. Are we willing to give it up?
We have free will, and free will means self-responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you are the one that judges yourself. Maybe if you like to believe yourself a deity or whoever that's going to judge you, then sure, have that deity judge you. But regardless, you're the one that's giving the deity permission to judge you. At the end of the day, it's always you, whether you're outsourcing your power or whether you're not.
Yes.
It's still.
I mean, I've got many friends who are outsourcing to Jesus, which is great. I mean, it's awesome. They're outsourcing to Jesus. And that's great because there are good parables. There are good tales. But one of them said to me recently, well, yeah, but, I mean, isn't that somebody else's perception of Jesus, the Bible? And I'm like, well, yeah, because he didn't write it himself. It's not an autobiography. And so, we get into that whole, like, who do you trust thing? Well, I trust Jesus. Jesus seemed like a damn good bloke. But, yeah, but that doesn't mean that all my intentions are forgiven by Christ. No, never.
It's like almost as
So you have to be responsible. Free will brings responsibility. It's good. I like it.
If you outsource, you're setting up for possible failure. It's like if either you or me looked to each other as like a pillar of something good, right?
Yes.
And then at some point, that person, someone either casts aspersions or shade on them, or something they did rubs you the wrong way. And now, all of a sudden, your own internal sense of morality is now compromised because your pinnacle of goodness has now been compromised. And then now you're unsure of your base. Why? Because you outsourced it, even if it was just one step to the side.
I blame the Indians for the fuck up in technology, because they every time I get my computer goes down, I call somebody and there's this in India, so it's all the Indians' fault. You know, that's the same as outsourcing. You know, that's what you mean by outsourcing. It's like, I have friends who are dyed in the wool, following one church's view of Christ, and they go to confession. And they go to confession, they come out, and they do the same thing again, and next week they go to confession. I'm like, well, when are you going to go within? You know, when are you going to confess to yourself that you're sinful? Because you are sinful. You go to church and you say, we're all sinners. But you're sinning the same sin week in, week out, and going to a third party, a representative of Christ, to say it's okay.
Right.
We all do.
Which gives you permission to keep on sinning.
No, I'm just not into that.
Alan had another useful analogy with the whole confession thing, and it was that when someone calls themselves a sinner, it's automatically tainted because the one who's calling themselves a sinner is sinning, so therefore could be inaccurate while calling themselves a sinner.
Oh, to lie is a sin.
It's the never-ending thing. It's the never-ending regression.
So I'm going to tell you, I'm not a sinner anymore. So to lie is a sin.
Yeah,
I'm not a sinner anymore.
It does. It fucks the brain.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
It's supposed to.
What was the other one? This is to state this is not a false statement.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It loops. Yeah. It keeps going.
Yeah, I recently, actually I haven't received it yet. I recently sent for a certificate in California for exemption from testing and Jabberwocky, but a religious exemption.
Oh yeah.
You just write to this pastor, and I have a connection for it if you want, and I think it costs $35 for a certificate, and the certificate is religious exemption from blah blah, the testing or the Jabberwocky. So it's like, why did I do that? Well, because I find it kind of humorous that this is such a silly game. But if we don't play the game, go back to like Bill Hicks, it's a roller coaster. If we don't play the game, then what are we going to do? Sit on the sidelines? Well, that's boring. So you have to play the game. But so I'm kind of sending for this certificate.
Yeah, play the game.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. Also, it's like, and we gotta wrap this first part up pretty soon. But it's like
we can talk about the people that aren't playing the game, and then the ones that are playing the game. Because there's I think there's a good 60% that are
non-players.
What do you call them? NPCs. We can give them names. It's fine. So we can talk about that aspect.
It's like the Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yeah.
Have you read that at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's one. I did a video that has the whole Oppenheimer speech where he quotes the Bhagavad Gita. Oppenheimer, who created the nuclear bomb. I mean, he was the linchpin that
Did he use the Bhagavad Gita to rationalize his
at
creation?
At the end, he cried because cried. Well, it's all fake. I mean, you can see in his eyes. It's like he's kind of asking for forgiveness because we did this. But then he quotes the Bhagavad Gita, and it's like, Kali, Kali Luga. He's quoting the Kali, the destroyer of man, the ultimate destroyer.
Right.
We've unleashed Kali. It's almost like he's confessing that humans are unleashing demons, and we're really sorry about it, but it doesn't matter.
But that's how you have a good war, right?
It's like, what the, so yeah. I mean, I forgot what song I put it in, but I did put it in a song, and then it's the written part and him talking about it.
See, it's unescapable, Nigel.
Hundreds of songs.
It's unescapable. If you're not being 100% neutral, like residing in the 0 point, okay, if you stray at all, you're embracing both sides. You can't escape the duality while, I'm so loving and I love everybody. Okay, well, you need the evil to know that you're love in the first place. So if you're going to play one side, you're playing both sides to some extent. And what I see from the Bhagavad Gita is it's saying, stop pretending that you don't understand, like you're being enveloped in both sides. Like if you're going to be a warrior, just go get it. Go destroy somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the Vedas, it talks about there's so much, but it's like within the Vedas, they're talking about the four horses that are the cords that are propelling mankind, and you have to dance. I think Alan Watts talks about Hinduism, and he talks about the Vedic scriptures, and it's like ultimately Indians believe that life is a dance, and if we don't dance, then like I just said, if you don't want to play, that's fine. That's be an NPC. Go over there. I want to play. And if I do play, I got to realize there's dark and light.
Mm-hmm. And also realize, even though it's nice to think like love wins, I get that.
Ultimately,
if you're in duality, dark and light are there. Period. That's what provides the game board. Like somehow you get past it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. See,
somehow you get past it, you're out of duality. You're off in what's the word? Yeah, by a smidge. Love wins, but by a little.
By a smidge, yes, and that's okay. It's the yin and yang sign. It's the
but if it actually succeeds and vanquishes evil, then the game is over for all of eternity, and you never ever get to play in duality again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to think about it really, but like
okay. Love,
non-dual.
Love. I'm talking about unconditional love being a constant. Unconditional love being a constant in the battle. Right? It's an unconditional love, and it'll always be 50%. Sometimes it'll be push back, but it comes back to the 50%. The yin and the yang. But I'm talking about unconditional love. A few months ago, I held my niece's 1-month-old baby in my arms, and I looked at the baby, who is just wide-eyed. One of those babies. My firstborn, Abigail, was. She sat up straight away, neck up, neck straight. But it's rare. But this one was like, boom! This is a human. This is not just a mess that's just been born. This is. I looked in her eyes and I was like, oh, I know nothing because this child knows everything. Unconditional love is still alive in this child. All our life, we're conditioned to forget that unconditional love. That's the conditioning. That's the warfare. That's the psyop. That's the dark side playing with the light side. That's all of this mess. That's all the dance. But the clarity in that 1-month-old's eyes as she looked at me just sat me on my ass and said, there it is. I know nothing. But unconditional love is still the predominant force in mankind. It's predominant, and it needs to be kept at a constant. We can't keep doing this push me, pull you. We have to try and keep a constant. So the light has to recognize the darkness, but it doesn't have to enter the darkness. It can be part of it, but it can't be all of it. So when I say love wins, we have to make sure that unconditional love, in other words, the conditioning that we receive, is not taken away from us, stripped away from us. Now, the conditioning goes through your mind, MK Ultra, mind control, and your heart. It doesn't go through just one part of you. It infiltrates. The darkness infiltrates. So you have to know that conditioning, or that controlling, and that's why I say we're in the battle is between people who want to control others and those who want to control themselves. That's why I'm saying I will always be on the control yourself part of that equation. But it's still an equation. There'll always be people who want to be the boss. But you know inside that you've been working your whole life for yourself. You're not really working for the boss. Sure, yes, boss. Yeah, I'll do that, boss. But really, he's just giving you tools so you can continue playing in this game. And this is a good game that has been shaken up by the dark side, and we're going to all fall off the edge if we don't watch it. It's a game board. We're going to fall off the edge of the game board if these people keep rocking it. So we have to make sure that the white beats the black, and we move on to the next level, and the next level, and the next level. And we keep going, and it's multi-layered chess, But it's love. Love wins, but we have to hold that. Hold it. That's why people say hold the line. It's like they're not saying hold the line because we want to let our enemy win. No, our enemy is not necessarily the darkness. Our enemy is control, letting other people control your desire and ambition and love and peace. Don't let them take that away from you. Your love and your peace, the peace you feel right now, don't let them take it away.
Yeah, if you need to shoot somebody, then shoot somebody.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like some of the best artwork I've seen. There's a statue in Chicago, I think it's in Chicago, where there's a huge handgun, and the muzzle has been tied in a knot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, fire that, and it's gonna backfire in your face. You know what I mean? So it's not. That's why I for the longest time I was signing out. You sign out when you do a little interesting piece about your daily life. You go, peace. See, I sign out, love and peace are my weapons. Mm-hmm. Well, and the irony of that is lost on some people in my life, or some people that have been in my life for a long time, because they're like, "Oh, that's weapons. You're a pacifist. You call yourself a pacifist, and you've got weapons." I'm like, did you read the first part or just the last part? That's the way I am. But do I mind people? I mean, I'm a pro-peace campaigner. I'm not an anti-war campaigner. Anti puts you puts you on the back foot. If you're anti something, so that something exists. If you're pro something, that thing exists within you. So you're taking your piece to the table. You're not opposing their war. You're just saying that my piece is stronger than your war, so I'm bringing this.
One last analogy. If you're anti-poke, right? Your entire focus is on is on the poke. Yeah. If you're pro immune system, okay, how much poke is in your current pro immune system thought form? Not much, right? But if you're anti-poke, your whole thought system is poke. It literally draws you to it. When you're anti anything, you become enveloped in that thing.
I love magnetism. I love the animal magnetism that we have. You, I, my friends, people that I'm attracted to, people I'm interacting with. I love that sort of magnetism. But that magnetism can put you in dark places too. So the EMF, the electromagnetic field that we live within, I mean, we can go down Rupert Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake's the only scientist I'll really listen to. And I could listen to it for hours, even though his voice is rather boring. It's a bit like those people that follow Noam Chomsky. It's like, you know, what's the best way to go to sleep? Listen to a Noam Chomsky lecture. But Rupert Sheldrake, on the other hand, he talks about the morphic fields of resonance. And he said humanity is it's such in its infancy, but they're starting to recognize and realize what's at the base of their being. And these morphic fields of resonance. See, I'm going down the psychedelic. I'm going down a psychedelic rabbit hole right now. Because
hold that thought, Nigel. We got to wrap this one, otherwise we'll be talking all day.
Oh yeah, I will be. Yeah, I will be for sure. I talk all day anyway.
Okay, 10-15 minutes break. Anybody that wants to catch the other half, it's at patreon.com/snailshow. It will be up later tonight. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Nigel. Cheers. I'll see you on the other side, okay?
Yeah, see you on the other side, the flip side.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace. Peace and love are my weapons. Love and peace are my weapons.